The next thing we're going to be doing is styling the typography inside of the article section and inside the aside section. So to begin with, let's select one of the headlines that we're targeting and take a look in our code view that it should be highlighting in the article with the ID of main, and it's a H2 inside that. So if we go back to our design view, if we want to be targeting that area, all you have to do, and the easiest way, is to just put your cursor inside the element that you're targeting. Go to your CSS styles definitions. Again, you can collapse these elements if you wish, just by clicking on these. And if we scroll down, we're going to be targeting this area. We already have something with the ID called main, and that's the one that we're looking for. So by selecting it, I'll be adding elements underneath it. And if that doesn't work, we're just going to move them up in place. So I'll click on my new CSS rule. Once we open that up, you can go to compound based on your selection, and as you can see, Dreamweaver is smart enough to know where your cursor is. It's in the wrapper, in main, in the H2. So we are going to be less specific. We only want to be targeting the ID main with the H2. So any H2 inside the ID main. If I click OK, there's a couple of things that we are going to be looking for. Number one, I think I want the font family to be that Museo font that we were looking for. So I'll just bring this up so you can see my list. And we'll choose Museo Sans 500 and the other ones that we added as well. The only other thing I want to do is to just ensure that the font weight is normal, although that should be inheriting. Sometimes you want to keep that in there if ever there's a problem. Let's go to the font size, and in here I'll put in 1.8 ems. And with that in place, we can also come in and give it a color. Now, it's completely up to you what you want to be working with. I think I'll add just a very simple little dark gray. And if you click apply, you can sort of see what that looks like. Wonderful. It looks great. Exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to click OK. The next thing that I'm going to be targeting is the paragraphs inside here. Now, I'm pretty happy with the way they look with regards to the font family. If you remember, we are inheriting the serif font from our body. And I'll come in here, so just put your cursor in any of the paragraphs. I'll go to the CSS styles. Let's take a look. Main H2 went to the bottom, so I'm going to bring it right back up here. We'll come in here and we will say new CSS rule. Again, as before, we're going to be less specific because we are targeting main P. I'll click OK. And the only thing I really want to be addressing, we don't need to address the font family, but perhaps what we can do is address the line height. So if I were to say a line height of something like 2 ems and click OK, you can see that's a rather generous amount of space. If you think it's too much, you can always reduce it. 1.8 is pretty much the same as we gave for the headlines. Now, if you think that's okay, it's perfectly fine. Remember, you don't always have to do it in ems. I could come in here and just say 24 pixels if I prefer. And we discussed some of the issues of why you might want to do that in a previous video. So I think I like the generous 1.8 of the M value that we gave, and I'll leave it like that. Now, the only other thing that I want to address is the amount of space after each paragraph. Now, you'll notice the headlines are rather tight and a little close to it. So I think I'm going to go to the category called box, and here I'm just going to give it a pixel amount. I could say something like maybe 16 pixels at the bottom. Click OK. You can see that, that must have been a paragraph because they separated. And here too, some paragraphs have separated as well. So I'm pretty happy with that. And that's really all I want to be doing in that section, except maybe moving this up so we keep all of our main ID information in the same place. Now when we come back, we're going to start targeting the elements inside the aside And we'll do something that's pretty interesting by putting in some icons at the beginning of each of these headers.